Oh,
Well, hey guys, well, we're so glad you're here tonight to hear Dr. Valerie Miles. And you're in for a treat because not only will you get to hear from Valerie Miles, but in the chat box, you can enter in questions that you have, and I'll be looking at that chat box. And at the end, I'm going to pick 2 or 3 questions, depending on our time, to ask Dr. Miles. So be sure that as you're listening, if you have questions, to put them in the chat box, and I'll be monitoring that. And we'll have a chance to perhaps get some of those answered. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Miles tonight. I've admired her for a long time, and I told her the other day, I was like, you do know we're friends, right? I just decided. And so I don't know if we've ever actually gotten to hang out a lot, but every time I've heard her speak or have seen her at conferences, I just have such respect for her. And so when we were brainstorming ideas on who would we want to come to our call and share, I thought, I wonder if Dr. Miles did. So I reached out to her and she graciously agreed. And so a little bit about her is she's board certified pediatrics, and she's gotten her degrees at prestigious universities. And one of the things I enjoy about her is not only does she has all these credentials, she's published articles. I mean, she's an expert for sure. But what I really enjoy is she was sharing with me how she really has shifted her practice. You know, she used to have a traditional practice and all of that, yet she realized that she wasn't able to care for her patients really as much as she wanted to in the way that she wanted to. So now she has started a very innovative practice. They're all over the country, where you pay a fee and then she takes care of you. And I've seen that in functional type practices or maybe chiropractic care, but I had not ever heard of it in mainstream type practices. And she has figured it out, and she is a part of that. And I love that also. Not only is she a rock star doctor, but she's a very savvy business person as well, who really cares deeply for her patients. So I shouldn't have been that surprised that she was willing to share, because even though she's a very busy physician, she still is very much about education and wanting to help us. So would you please, I wish we could clap and stand up and like whoop whoop. And so I'll just pretend we're doing that. Everybody, we're at whoop, woo! Welcome, Dr. Miles. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can show us your slides. And at the end, I'll come back on and ask you a couple of questions.
okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much for that great introduction. Don't y'all wish that Kathy could introduce you too? She's an amazing introducer. I always feel like, wow, who is that you're talking about? That's fabulous. And I do very much respect my training, so I appreciate that. That overview. I'm both board certified in pediatrics and integrative medicine, which is integrative medicine is sort of the blending of both worlds, so to speak, the old and the new, the maybe alternative and the mainstream and all that. And it's actually all based in science. So one of the things that I really appreciate about my training is how God forbid, don't miss anything that is, you know, a sickness or an illness or a symptom that's really important to address. And there are levels of what we need to address, especially in primary care, right? We're always trying to help you stay well. I think that's most primary care doctors' intention when they first went into it. But what has happened with the system over time is that it's gotten harder and harder to get to know people well enough so that you can take care of them, because you have that average of 7-minute visit anymore. And that's because of sort of the corporate structure, the insurance system. We could do a whole talk on that, which I won't, but it leads to a lot of frustration, burnout, high suicide rate, highest of any field in doctors, and very, very oppressive sort of situation compared to when I started 25 years ago. When, I maybe was more idealistic, but I also had more time to take care of people. And that has gotten tough over the years. So I just want to acknowledge you for being here. We're all in some stage of reopening or staying home or whatever, but I just want to acknowledge that, we're part of this system in this country that has not only the healthcare system, the political system, and all of that has led us to be where we are today. And I'm so grateful for as much as we do have in all of those systems, because we would be in much worse shape today. I shudder to think how much worse shape we could be in. But at the same time, it kind of uncovers or pulls the curtain like Wizard of Oz away from the background of what's going on or working or not working. And so that's what we're seeing. And it makes me even more inspired to do what I do today and speak to you guys about tonight, because it really leaves me with that much more of a commitment to take good care of myself and to teach my family how to take good care of themselves and to teach my patients how to take good care of themselves, because sometimes in some ways the system fails us. And we're not ever going to have perfection in our health. You know, we all leave the planet at some point and we all have different systems and it's not a cookie cutter. But I think that what the situation we're in today has shown us is just the value of being your own healthcare system, being your own primary care provider. And so I want to talk a little bit about that tonight. I'm just going to share my screen. So give me 1 second and start this little show for you, a little slideshow. Oh yeah, not that one. So now I can't see how to escape, of course. Stop share. There we go. Sorry guys, I'm hang on just a second. There we go. Let me, 1 second, okay, I'll get to the right slide so we can start at the beginning was my only problem there. All right, here we go. I've done so many Zooms over this last 6 weeks since we've been home, right? And we're doing lots of virtual things, but you know, technical difficulties. There we go. How's that? So it's really about powering up your health. And that can mean anything depending on where you are. You might be trying to power up off the couch, or you might be a marathon runner who has been able to really stay quite healthy and in shape. You guys were talking about your plank challenge. I wish I'd have known about that. I really needed it. So I'll join now. But we all start in different places. So wherever that is, you're just trying to get the next step in front of you, the next step and the next step, slowly but surely powering up your health. Because I've noticed in my life anyway, that if I try to do things all at once, ultimately I won't say fail, but I don't succeed as quickly as if I took the slow and steady pace, right? So that's what this is about. And we're in this is what I'm dealing with my kids in my practice now. Kids' lives have changed completely. And many of you have children or grandchildren and are having a lot of this where the virtual school is happening. I do have a lot of homeschoolers also who are kind of used to doing this, but this has changed everything. And you may be at work, working at home, laid off work. I've been doing all of that. And so it's a little bit of chaos, and we don't realize, I think, how much that affects not only our mental health, that's pretty clear, the stress we feel, but also our physical health with our immune system and not sleeping as well. And all those things contribute to our general health physically too. So I just acknowledge wherever you guys are at today, and this kind of pulling away the curtain from what is truly, unfortunately, becoming a broken healthcare system. I will tell you that one of the great things about making a shift into direct primary care, where it's more like a gym membership. You know, you're committed to the gym. You can go as many times as you want. You can with direct primary care, call the doctor, text the doctor, as many of that sort of contact as you want for the same low monthly fee. And you keep your insurance for the worst things. It's more like a car insurance. We never expect to use our car insurance for changing a battery or maybe replacing a windshield wiper or the windshield. That's left for if we get into some big trouble with our car. That's what insurance started as. And primary care was never really a part of insurance. So this is really turning back to that, because what's happening when you squeeze the primary care doctors, who are kind of the hub of the wheel, helping, if they have time to help educate people on how to stay well, then they don't have to utilize the rest of the services. So it really saves the system a lot of money and helps people stay healthy in the long term. So this is kind of my visual for our healthcare system, unfortunately. And what we really need is to be taught, well, how do we stay in optimal health? Even if we have a condition or a sickness, we can stay in optimal health with what we have. But certainly with my kids and my practice, I'm helping the parents start them off good for the long run, hopefully staying healthy for many, many, many years. And we know what makes us healthy. If you look at this, 70% of this pretty much is in your control. Genetics even is in your control in the sense that these healthy behaviors, If you have healthy behaviors, that helps your genes turn off the bad ones and turn on the good ones. We actually have the influence on our genes even with behaviors. So really up to 90% of what we think of as it keeps us healthy is under our control. And then being able to get to a doctor in the healthcare system and engaging that is really only about 10% of what helps keep us healthy. And I can say that with no shame. As a doctor, I want people to stay healthy. But here's what we spend on staying healthy, and that is just tip the complete wrong direction. If we can really invest in people's healthy behaviors and education and helping them take action on that, then we would have a much healthier country, right? So most of us know this. What does it take to be healthy? Exercise, sleeping enough, managing our stress, a huge impact on our health. Like I said at the beginning, drinking plenty of water, staying away from toxins, the clean 15 in produce. You want to always be careful about what you're buying there with pesticides, but also your cleaners you use in your house, and staying away from the toxins that interrupt the chemical processes in our system. But I think that out of all of those, the toughest thing is eat real food. And when I really started becoming more of an integrative physician 20 plus years ago, I can't remember now, one of the main things I had to learn, because I wasn't taught it well in school and in training, was nutrition. What nutrition, not just vitamins and what a vitamin does, vitamin C does this or that, but really the big picture of nutrition. And so I want to spend a little bit more time talking about that, because you've all heard this, a plant-based diet is the healthiest thing, right? So what I always heard when I first heard that was, oh, I need to be a vegetarian or a vegan. And I wasn't really willing to do that. I'm a little bit more of a pescatarian. I live in Florida on the coast. I love seafood. And every once in a while, I have other kinds of meat, but I really am happy eating that way. And it turns out that's what plant-based means, is just mostly plants and lots of different colors of plants, because in all these colors that you see here, not counting the green bananas, this is one of our problems with our food system, is we have to pick everything unripe to get it to people before it rots, right? But that means it doesn't have as much nutrition. So I'm not counting the green bananas, but all the other colors are where all the different kinds of nutrients are. So you really have to eat a wide variety. And they say, not me, the government actually says 9 to 13 servings per day of a wide variety, raw or lightly steamed, fresh as you can get them, fruits and vegetables for the best health for adults. Kids are, depending on their age, between 5 and 9 servings a day, and it mostly doesn't happen. Or in my kids, I don't know about yours, but my kids in my practice they'll like carrots and strawberries, and they would eat that over and over and over, but wouldn't necessarily eat the other colors, right? And I think I'm kind of like that a little bit. I like somebody else to prepare some of the vegetables I don't like to prepare, but maybe I like to eat them, but I don't want to cook them, or I can't get them in season, right? So plant-based doesn't mean vegetarian. It just means eat mostly plants and have the meats and other things as your side items. One of the problems, besides the transport and picking things unripe, is that the food quality is decreasing, and most of what Americans eat is processed. I hope this doesn't apply to you, but we have a lot of processed food, and many of the things that are inside that food are unpronounceable. They're often chemicals and dyes and things like this, and our body doesn't know what to do with them. And in the case of children, I would say maybe some of you are noticing this while you're home with your kids, trying to help them with their schoolwork more than usual. That attention is one of the key things that is hit by processed food, by artificial ingredients. And so it's not just what you can put more into your diet. That is the number one thing. Put more plants into your diet, but it's what to take out as well. And it's all these things. But one of the sad things also about the food quality decreasing is when we pick it, it starts losing nutrients that quickly. And the more we cook it, the more nutrients it loses. And so over time, from 50 years ago, our produce has a lot less nutrition in it than it did back then, partly because of the way we grow and produce on a big commercial level. So we're kind of in a pickle with what we're able to get and what is budget worthy a lot of times as well. And then on top of that, this last thing is that right now there's more food insecurity than I've ever seen. Even in the background of this picture, I remember going to the grocery store, and y'all may have too, about a month ago, 4 weeks ago, and there were shelves and shelves in the produce section that were empty. We worry about who's touching it, what's being sprayed on it. Just there's a lot of loss of control. And thank goodness that many of us are able to donate to food banks, because so many people are food insecure now. But we have to kind of look at food as fuel, tongue twister. And this is what, and still many cultures around the world are really using food to fuel themselves and pick things ripe and sell them at the market and get fresh food. Although less than us, they still manage to get enough calories to, like, this guy is very fit looking, probably eats mostly plants though. But here in our country, we have more of this, unfortunately, where the food is not fuel. It tastes good and it fills us up, but it doesn't nourish us. It doesn't give us the nutrients that we need. And unfortunately, I could go on about the number of health problems that we're having. This child here is 7 years old and my weight. And this is considered in some circles neglectful by the parents, but in my view, it's neglectful by the systems that cause this to happen. And so that's an issue that we're going to have to resolve. And since we need so many servings, and athletes or anybody active are under a lot of stress, which is pretty much all of us right now, needs more, because there's oxidative stress that happens to our body if we don't get enough antioxidants. Oxidative stress is the basis of every disease, just about every disease you can name, and it's preventable by eating enough fruits and vegetables. That includes your immune system being strong, ready for the next infection that's coming along as well. So the variety and the amount is the big thing. And I thought at first, when I first started learning about, on my own about, oh, maybe nutrition's important for your health back 25 years ago. Well, I just took multivitamins, and I had to take them at night because they would make me throw up. And it was supposed to be a great quality multivitamin with all these things in it, like this, list as long as your arm, probably 30, 40, 50 different items on that list, but all isolated nutrients. And what I didn't understand was the difference between that and the whole food. If you take an apple, there's 10,000 nutrients in there. Most of them, we have no idea what they do, but there's a synergistic effect of all these little tiny bits of nutrients that work together. For example, with vitamin C, it's got a lot of friends that are in the plant, in the apple, that help the vitamin C work to function better in your body. You don't need a whole bunch. You just need a little tiny bit. And that synergy is what really matters, and why whole foods are significantly better than vitamins. Vitamins even can be harmful in a lot of cases. That's borne out by the research. So here we are with a new view, and many of you know about Juice Plus. I just want to tell you my story with that. I'm going to go back one slide. When I began my practice 20 years ago here in Florida, I was just trying to make payroll. I didn't know how to run a business. I was stressed all the time. I just wanted to help the families, and I had a little bit more of a holistic viewpoint and integrative mindset than most of the doctors here. So it was kind of a niche for me, but I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is I was waking up at 3 a.m, couldn't sleep because of how stressed I was. And I drank about 3 cups of coffee a day to keep myself going. Probably didn't eat near as well as I do today, or that I could, but that's how life was. And I just thought all that was normal. And I felt that I was doing okay, that, I was making it. And so a mom in my practice who I'd known for a while talked to me about Juice Plus. In fact, she said, "You've heard of it, haven't you?" And I thought, here I am. I'm a doc who's open-minded, so everybody talks to me about whatever their favorite supplement is. And none of the supplements have research, which is what matters to make me feel safe about it not interacting with different drugs that somebody might be on or being dangerous in some way. And so I started to, I was done with the visit. I said, just leave me some information. Sure, I'll look at it. I didn't really want to know at that point. But when I finally sat down, and my now wonderful friend, who was the one who introduced it to me, was very patiently persistent with me, because she knew that I would understand once I actually sat down and read about it. And what she brought was a research packet. And there was a packet full 15, 16 years ago of probably that many studies. And then I discovered it was actually only food, that the fruits and vegetables were put into a capsule in a gummy somehow. And so I got very intrigued about Juice Plus, and I want to share with you because it's to fill in this gap that we have, and that we really see that we need even more today than we ever did before. So what Juice Plus is 30 plus, actually this is 30 plus the omegas, which is 36 different fruits, vegetables, and seeds that are pulverized. So I say they like take a giant Vitamix and crush them, cold dehydrate it, and you're left with a tiny amount of powder that's just the nutrients. And I say that really sounds like a great idea, but then what they did was went ahead and studied it. So scientifically, third parties have studied to find out what these kind of super capsules do with, if you can push a bunch of plant nutrients into a capsule and a gummy and have people eat them, what happens to their system. And that's what makes the difference, not just a good story or a good idea. And there are now almost 40 studies. You can read all about these online, so I'm not going to spend time, but they're all online. All the centers around the world that have studied Juice Plus. This started, every step I took, I thought, okay, well, that's good, and that's good. Checking all the boxes as a doctor, that gold standard research, not just somebody writing a story about one person who ate Juice Plus, but gold standard research. That's what made me listen and pay attention. So Juice Plus is unique in that it is food and not a multivitamin. It's got a food label, just like the bag of apples that I bought earlier today. You can't have that label if you're a supplement and you have isolated nutrients in any of your products, which ours don't. Vegan, kosher, dairy, and gluten-free, and NSF certified, which means a third party came and just researched and saw that there was actually what's on the label in the product and nothing else that's contaminating it. So even professional athletes can take Juice Plus, just fruits and vegetables. And what many of us find, and the research bears out, is that because it's just extra fruits and vegetables that we can't get on a daily basis, that there's some significant results. Or like me, at first I just thought it was a great safety net because I knew I didn't eat enough fruits and vegetables. But what mattered most to me, and to there's hundreds of doctors that I know in Juice Plus, there's thousands of healthcare professionals that recommend this product, is because there's close to 40 research studies now. And all it does, and hopefully you don't eat only what's on the left side of the screen there, or only what's on the right. We probably mix the two, but it's really the bridge to the gap where on a daily basis, I don't eat 9 to 13 fruits and vegetables every day. And if I do, I don't get them ripe, which means that I don't get the top amount of nutrient value that they could have. Juice Plus fruits and vegetables are actually picked at that peak of ripeness. So then immediately, pulverized so that locks in that freshness and the nutrient content. And then I guess the last thing for me was that the company actually has a mission of inspiring healthy living around the world. And I felt like I was trying to do that on this little, one-man practice kind of basis, family to family, room to room. And this is really spreading it like a ripple effect across the planet. And that's what we need, because we have gotten unhealthier and unhealthier over the last, many years, right? We're heading in the wrong direction. So Juice Plus is really not about treating or curing any specific condition. It's a food. You can't say this food cures something, but it's just healthful nutrition picked at the peak of ripeness. So it contains the most nutrients, highly concentrated, and supported with over 20 years of independent clinical research, not the company studying it. So this is just to say that even though we might have different conditions that are improved by Juice Plus, that also, if nothing improves that you can feel, understand that things are going on inside your body that are are improving. They just don't have sensors that you can feel. And inflammation is one really important one. Many of you have heard with our recent global pandemic that inflammation is one of the real problems, that there's this whole inflammatory cascade that happens and really is where people, if they're going to get very sick, that's the problem. Well, inflammation is going on constantly in your body. And the problem is you could feel this kind of inflammation when your joints hurt. I had this morning because we did some extra work over the weekend, and I could really feel it this morning. But most of the inflammation in your body is a chronic low-grade inflammation you can't feel. That's what heart attacks are. They're chronic low-grade inflammation in your heart arteries that goes on for 30, 40 years before you have a sudden heart attack. It was there all along, but just because you couldn't feel it, you might not even think you need to address it. So inflammation always going on. If you're in an inflammatory state, you're much more likely to get sick quicker with something, for example, or have something tip you over the edge. So you want to keep inflammation low in your body all the time. And the main way to do that is stop processed foods, sugar, red meat, and inflammatory foods, keep as low as possible, and keep the fruits and vegetables as high as possible. And that's why probably the research shows that, and actually this is 5 studies now, I'm sorry I have that number wrong, but just the healthy inflammatory response, decreasing inflammation in the body and turning off genes that cause inflammation, as well as oxidative stress, the other kind of inflammatory sign, is much decreased when you just take Juice Plus. So then you will be put into a state, particularly with your immune system, that you are less likely to have a hair trigger of getting very inflamed because you've got that constant anti-inflammatory going on. And with immune system health, there's significant improvements in the immune system in several studies. And I just highlight those because those are kind of my favorite. There are many, many, many more studies all online that you can see. So then what happens in my practice, people say, well, is it really worth it? Because I've been watching people for over 15 years, before Juice Plus, after Juice Plus, taking Juice Plus every once in a while versus taking it every day. Significant value. I could sit here and tell you stories for hours and hours, but I won't, because it just matters. It doesn't even matter whether you have a dramatic story, but that you know you are decreasing inflammation in your body and helping your genes be healthier and so forth from the research. So the cost to me, very low. Depending on where you live, I don't know how much a little Fiji water costs in Texas, but that's about what it takes to buy the trio of Juice Plus, and a little bit more for the Omega. So you have to decide on your own value what you're looking for with your health, what that step to power up your health is. And to help with value, this is one of my favorite things, where the family health study allows, when an adult buys Juice Plus for a child 4 years old and older, to get Juice Plus for up to 4 years for free. And we did this for my daughter. I probably wouldn't have done it if I couldn't buy some bargain. You know, I got started with some bargain because I was so skeptical. And then my family had some significant health improvements. I was able to stop drinking coffee and have tons of energy that I hadn't had in years, and had the healthiest winter with kids coughing in my face all winter like usual. The healthiest winter in a long time. That was a fluke for me, but then it continued every winter for years and years and years now. So I love this, that free is good always. And so I just want to encourage you. I mean, there's so many ways that we need to stay healthy. Now there's many facets of that. Of course, exercise, drinking water, sleeping well, doing things that help your stress level stay low. There's so many things that children can do as well. And looking at what can you do to really flood your body with fruits and vegetables. Obviously, eat as many as you can, fresh fruits and vegetables, but then bridge that gap would be my suggestion, backed up by research with Juice Plus. So I hope that's helpful. And what I find, I'll say also, Kathy, that the kids that are having trouble with their attention, who are stir crazy from not being able to do their activities, their exercise, if we can get their exercise up and get them outside, that helps all of that. But also taking out the processed food and putting in more fruits and vegetables. And Juice Plus is a great way to do that. I find that inflammation gets better, the brain fog gets better. And in their sports activities, that improves too, because all the muscles are being fed well, even better than usual. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to unshare my screen now so that I can see all of you guys.
Well, that was helpful. I think that's an understatement. Thank you so much. Good. And the chat box blew up with questions. So we're going to take quick minutes. We don't have a long time. So it may be hard to answer these. So if we need longer answers, we'll try to connect with you later. But here's the first question. Are there any benefits of a plant-based diet for kids in mental health? Like you mentioned, the attention deficit, if we can get less processed, but how does that maybe tie in even with anxiety? I mean, I know depression is a diagnosis, so we want to be careful with that, but how did that relate plant-based with mental health type issues with kids specifically?
Right. What's really fascinating about this, I'll make it short because it's a really long answer. There's a lot of research going on about mental health's connection with the gut. And y'all have heard about the gut-brain connection. And so what we're learning now, that's so exciting because we have control over it. And some of these diagnoses, attention deficit, anxiety, depression, bipolar, lots of things, we just felt like it's a sentence and that it takes a medication to fix, which of course in a lot of cases you need, but what can we do to help the body heal and make that gut as healthy as possible so that it doesn't interfere with what the brain's trying to do in a healthy way? And so a lot of times it's a combination, but what we're learning now about Juice Plus, and there's a huge study going on about the microbiome, all the bacteria that live down in your gut. And I'll talk more about this if you guys are in Texas and I'm coming to Lubbock, cross your fingers in September. I hope I can get there. That I talk about that in my longer talk, that getting that gut healthier, more probiotics, less of the bad guys, that and certain things that you might be sensitive to that individually you need to take out of your diet. But fruits and vegetables are what the good guys like to eat. So the more good guys, more probiotics, healthier gut, healthier brain.
That's great. Well, and tied in a little bit with that, someone said, do you recommend omegas for children? And at what age do you recommend introducing those?
Now, you know, omegas before, a few years ago, we didn't really realize how important they were for our health, for our brain health, our joints. They're anti-inflammatory. They help our heart health. A lot of these things have all been studied. And so the problem is that we just don't get enough in our diet. Now, we know that children need omegas because when you look at breast milk, mom's breast milk, if she's got a diet that's got omegas in it, those omegas go into the breast milk. The babies really need them. And there's a great study where it showed that moms taking omega supplements at the end of pregnancy and through breastfeeding, their babies slept way better than the moms who took placebo. So there's something about brain development in kids, and I see a huge difference with most children. And I just don't do that in isolation. Obviously we want to do the fruits and vegetables, supplements and that kind of thing too, but who add omegas when they hadn't had omegas with help with attention. Now, is that across the board 100%? No, but it's something that your body really needs. And so if you're not getting it in your diet, supplementing is smart, but it's also smart to supplement with a clean omega. Fish is a tough thing right now with the sustainability of fish and the toxicity of fish, getting your omegas from there. So it's way better to have a plant-based omega like Juice Plus has. So and I love the kids love them. They just chew them and
so like a
get out of the capsule.
Like a year-old is chewing, gumming it. Can they gum it? Do they need teeth?
Well, you need to be careful the choking risk of that. But
even little kids, I mean,
you can pierce it, squeeze it out. Yep.
Okay. Well, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We had other questions, but we'll have to catch those another time. We're out of time for tonight, but thank you so much. You were so gracious with your time and wonderful information. So everybody just clap. I know you're muted, but if you want to unmute and clap and say thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Valerie.
Welcome. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Good night.